into the Deuce and Mo podcast. Recording this after the conclusion of the first round of the NBA draft. Sacramento Kings with the 13th pick. So much noise. Could they be making a trade? We heard rumblings a little bit before the draft that they were talking about a Kyle Kuzma trade. They've been connected to Kyle Kuzma for years. We also heard Cam Johnson as a possibility as the Nets are blowing things up and starting over, trying to accumulate assets. But when the Kings got on the board, there were questions. Which direction were they going to go? Well, at the number 13 pick, they go with a guard.
Hey!
Devin Carter from Providence. 6'2", 193 pounds, was drafted by the Sacramento Kings with the 13th overall pick. There's a lot to go over in discussing this pick because he's a guard. And I think on the surface, you're going, what the hell did Monty McNair and the Kings just do?
Yep.
You've got De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, you do.
You have Malik Monk, who you just re-signed to a 4-year deal. You still have Kevin Huerter, Keon Ellis, Davion Mitchell, Colby Jones, a second-round pick that you gave a 4-year deal. That's a lot of guards. Well, I'd like to announce something right now.
Oh.
It is June 26th.
Yes.
There is still free agency and trades that can come, but we all know the Kings needed wing help. They did not get it in the first round of the draft. What's your first reaction to the Kings adding Devin Carter from Providence?
First initial reaction was guard. You know, the big G. It's up there. All the things. The good news is I watched some Devin Carter weeks ago. I mean, I watched it, a couple games, highlights, reading everything about him. I'm like, whoa, he's not just any guard. Like, sold when I saw his wingspan. Sold when I saw the way that he really carries himself out there on the floor. He plays so much bigger than he is. He's 6'2" with a 6'8" wingspan.
No.
Oh.
6'8" and 3/4.
Thank you.
Wingspan.
So sorry. On top of that, he was averaging over 9 rebounds per game last year. So he has a nose for the ball, knows how to get in there. So this guard in Devin Carter, I was a little bit more excited about. But it's like you already said at the beginning of this, you said there's so many different angles to break down because I go, okay, great. Love Devin Carter. Love his IQ. He's a dog. All the different things that we just mentioned. But what tweaks are going to be made? Because you can't win in the Western Conference with a roster full of guards, right?
That's the problem. And, I'm trying to map this out in my head. And let me be clear. I like Devin Carter. In fact, I did a mock draft with someone from the Memphis Grizzlies who's going picking someone from each city. And I was picked at 13th. I selected Devin Carter.
Yeah.
My rationale was, they're probably losing Malik Monk. I think Devin Carter is going to be a fan favorite here. I'm going to just set that out right now. People are going to love this guy.
Yeah.
Because he is a dog. And yes, that term gets thrown around a lot nowadays. And people are going to obsess over the 6'2" part of it. He's got a 6'8" and 3/4 wingspan, and he uses all of it. He is relentless on the defensive side of the ball. He's just relentless all the time.
Yep.
You look at his numbers last year at Providence, his third year playing college ball, started at South Carolina before going to Providence. He averaged just under 20 points a game. Let me read this to you because it sounds like it's a mistake. He averaged nearly 9 rebounds a game as a 6'2" guard. 8.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists. He also averaged just under 2 steals and a block, shot 47%. He was 37% from downtown. Now, the shooting thing right there, you may want to look at because he took a big jump in year 3 in college. Mm-hmm. Before this year, he was 29% from 3 and then 26% from 3. His 3-point percentage has gone up, so has his free throw percentage. You hope that is
trending in the right direction.
It's not just a fluky thing, and you don't want to be a liability, obviously, on the defense or the offensive side of the ball. But you think about the Kings. There was that rumbling about they were going to take 13 and trade it for Caruso. You could see some Alex Caruso in Devin Carter a little bit with his ability to defend.
The energy.
The question I have is, can Devin guard as many positions? I don't know about that. I think he can guard multiple positions. Alex Caruso is an all NBA level defensive player.
Correct.
He's done that. I do think Devin Carter has that upside with his length, his physicality, his rebounding, his ability to push. He plays with energy. The guy is everywhere.
The feel for the game, just like you said, his versatility on the defensive end, right? The strength that he plays with. And I didn't think I was going to be this optimistic if a guard was drafted, but I truly feel like Devin Carter is just a different type of basketball player that excites me. And then obviously his dad being around the game for so long has helped him be around the NBA game for so long and just understand it at such a different level. 22 years old. He turned 22 in March. So he's an older rookie, if you want to put it like that. But also I always look at that as being a more mature rookie, right? So I look at all these different things, his upside, him defensively, what he could maybe provide on the offensive end. I know some people have said, well, 6'2", isn't he just going to get his shit blocked at the rim? And it's like, because he does play with length, because he is a smart guy, he knows how to get it up off the backboard. He knows how to use his strength to battle in whoever else it is to get into the paint and make sure he's shooting over people.
He's an explosive athlete, too. I want to read you a portion of Sam Vecini's breakdown. He does a draft guide for The Athletic every year. This guy is crazy with the work he puts in. And this is just one person's opinion, but figured we'd share it. His strengths. Carter is one of the best athletes in the draft class. He possesses an exceptional combination of explosiveness, lateral fluidity, and functional strength. Those traits, along with the motor and toughness, allow him to play much bigger than his listed height. He's extremely quick and can get up vertically. His development trajectory has been meteoric, in part because of his competitiveness and his work ethic. He improved his points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage every season in college.
Love.
He also processes the game quickly with fast reaction times on both ends of the court. On top of that, has great length. We've already mentioned this. 6'8" and 3/4 wingspan. The guy is long. He says those attributes translate into Carter being one of the draft's best little things players. He's a monster rebounder for a guard, skying above traffic to secure contested boards. He constantly dives on the floor, makes second and third efforts to recover on defense or get extra possessions for his team. He is fearless, tough, and values the ball. Carter defends guards as well as you'll find and has potential to be among the NBA's best down the road. He blows up actions on and off ball. He battles at the point of attack, using his quickness and strength to stay in front of opposing players while also crawling into their space and disrupting their dribbling. He gets over screens at an elite level, taking the appropriate routes to stay in the play, Morgan. He never stops fighting. He's got great hands, which means he's always a factor when recovering. A lot of offensive players underestimate his speed getting back into place, leading to a ton of block shots.
Yep.
I mean, 1 block a game for him last year in college. Carter will give up size against bigger wings, but it doesn't feel that way because they have trouble going through his chest. He can switch across 1 through 3 positions in the NBA, according to Vicini. 1 through 3.
We'll see.
And should even be able to match up with many 4s.
We'll see. I mean, seeing him play against some of these players in college, it was like, oh, he's really strong. He knows how to use his chest. He knows how to use his body. But then on top of that, knowing how to use your arms, right? And using that to your advantage and actually like capitalizing on that physical ability that you have. You see him do that, and like him being able to recover and obviously block some shots if someone is quicker than him does get by him. It's that length once again. And how many times have we been talking about length for the Sacramento Kings?
And we'll address what this means for the roster and take a look at the other stuff in a bit, but focusing on Carter for a second. If Vicini's right and he does have the capability to guard 1 through 3, that's going to be big for Sacramento. The 4, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, but I think there's a strong belief in his strength and his compete and his length. If you have that type of versatility on the defensive end of the ball, especially with the growth that Keegan made last year, De'Aaron made last year, the emergence of Keon Ellis, there's some pretty intriguing options for the Sacramento Kings and Mike Brown to utilize out there.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when I didn't know. I called so many games of Keon Ellis with the Stockton Kings, And I was like, I don't know if his game will translate the right way in the NBA. Like, is he going to be confident enough? All these different things. The opportunity was given to him, and the way that he developed internally within this organization has been fantastic. But then something that he has as well is that wingspan. He has those long arms, the ability to just like a nose for the ball, knows how to get in there, you know, digging, whatever it is to disrupt someone that is dribbling the basketball. And I feel like with someone like Devin Carter, you are getting someone that is already there, you know? And so now if you have that internal development with the other things, and then you put him in a defense where he is just making the perimeter defense even stronger because he is so versatile. I like it.
In the NBA, you got to win possessions, you got to get stops, and you got to get rebounds. He can do both of those things. That's what's exciting. Sam Vecini goes on to write this, Morgan. Carter is the epitome of a defensive playmaker. Despite being 6'2", he blocked more than one shot a game in each of the past 2 seasons and averaged just under 2 steals per contest. On top of his ability to get his hands into the opposing players' handles, he's also tremendous off ball. That's good. He's constantly in the right position, active when helping, excellent at timing his digs into drivers, and clever playing that cat and mouse with them by stunting before recovering the shooters. He's also a great backline defender despite his height, effectively bopping back and forth to confuse driving guards. He's quick and active closing out, covering space quickly and on balance. While he sometimes blocks shots that way, he always navigates the balance of contesting hard or staying on the ground when offensive players try to attack his closeout. He can also face guard or chase around dangerous shooters because of his skill getting through screens.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the things that you love in a defender. Now, how is it going to translate at the NBA level with some of these bigger bodies? I mean, you know, we have these questions. Obviously, they have the belief that it will translate just fine. But again, watching him last year, you can see how much bigger he plays, how strong he does play.
Now, you want to talk about some of his offensive stuff?
Okay.
And we still have weaknesses, too.
Okay, sure.
I want to go over this.
That's fine.
This is great. I want to trust the experts here. And so that's why I'm going over some of this stuff. Offensively, Carter improved every year as a scorer and shooter. Most important skill set will be the three-point shooter. While stroke doesn't look great, it goes in often enough to believe it will translate to the next level. He drilled 37.7% of his nearly 7 3-point attempts per game this season. And many of those tough shots, those were tough looks due to being the top of the opponent's scouting reports. Like, he is the guy that they were worried about. He drilled 40.2% of his catch and shoot threes and showed some potential to launch off movement, making 8 threes off screens this season. So he goes over some of the shooting stuff. Also says he's an effective pull-up shooter. He hit 34% of his nearly 100 pull-up threes per synergy, including making 41% of his 44 pick-and-roll three-point attempts and 36% of his threes off handoffs. He navigates ball screens well, demonstrating the ability to come off the pick patiently and making sure to keep either his man on his hip or explode to the rim. Said he was an elite finisher at the basket last season. Unsurprising, given his strength and athleticism, he threw down 25 dunks last season, including a few posters, but also made 65.9% of his overall shots at the rim.
Love that.
So the guy's going to finish at the rim. He's going to go strong and to finish nearly 66%. That's great.
Well, and that's the thing that if you watch him play too, not only with his shot is it a high release, with his wingspan, it allows him to shoot over some people, right? Whether, I mean, they're the same height, the same size, whatever. It allows him to elevate a little bit more. And I think even at the rim, that's what I would notice is some of his shots that he was finishing in the paint. It just felt like he was always reaching up, always had the advantage with that wingspan.
He also says that he thinks Carter's passing is more of a positive than a negative, so long as he's the secondary ball handler out there rather than the primary initiator. Some of his weaknesses, of course, the size gets mentioned. NBA teams prefer 3-and-D players like Carter to be more in the 6'6" range. It helps that Carter plays bigger than his size, but his height limits the type of lineups that a team could construct while using him as a high-end role player. He came into the combine at 6'2" and 1/4 without shoes. Said he's not a creative ball handler compared to other NBA guards. That's something to watch for sure. His turnovers were a bit high at 2.7. So the context does matter. He had to lead Providence offense without many creative scoring guards around him, especially after the Friars lost Bryce Hopkins for the season. So they talk about that. He also isn't sure about the shooting. He's shown just one season of positive sample. His underlying shooting metrics this season all look good, even at volume. But he's 22-year-old. He's a 22-year-old with a hitchy shot who made less than 30% of his threes in his first 2 college seasons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think even looking at some of those weaknesses, even the ball handling, for example, when I hear some of these things, I go, okay, well, that's not the role you expect him to be in, right? But you also want him to be able to get stronger in that area.
So we got Sam Vecini's perspective on Devin Carter. There's a lot to like there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just from the standpoint when you're talking about a guy's motor, his energy, his personality, and why he's one of your favorite people, like, you love having those type of guys on your roster. So yes, there's a lot of good things about that.
Now, when you start thinking about the Sacramento Kings and how they're building this out, this is what people are struggling with a little bit. Is like, okay, like, yeah, I see why Devin Carter would be helpful, but when you have all of these guards, you haven't addressed your weaknesses tonight. What would you say to those people who are concerned about that at this point?
Oh, well, your concerns are valid. Absolutely valid. And I think my only pushback is to be rational about this too. When, well, I know. Well, because I saw some like really evil things. I'm like,
of course.
And I'm just like, ew, you're all giving me the ick right now. Like, it's not about even trying to convince you to enjoy this pick or anything, because here's where I'm at. I go, love this pick. Devin Carter right there with the 13th pick. Okay, you felt like that was the best player available, especially with the way that this draft was going. Holland going 5th. I mean, like, you had so many different picks that went higher than expected, right? Edie, 9. And then you get to 13th, best player available, Devin Carter. And Kings fans go, what the shit? Another guard? Valid. Now, this is where I go. I go, okay, what tweaks are being made? What moves are being made? And I think a lot of the conversation that we have had today since this pick has been about that. And I think the work is not done, but I think there has been so much trauma around the almost trades and the almost moves over the years that people are like, well, I'm not going to believe it until I see it too.
Well, here's the other struggle I have, okay? Because we listed all these guards.
Yeah.
Fox, Ellis, Herter, Mitchell, Monk. Even if you want to put Colby in there. I mean, they gave Colby a 4-year deal last year after drafting him, okay?
Yep.
So there was some thought he would be involved in this. So, and then you're adding a draft pick in Carter, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6, 7. That's
Jesus.
7. That's 7 right there. Okay. Fox is playing. We know this. Monk just got a new deal. He's playing. Let's just say Davion's out of the picture.
Okay.
Next, let's say he gets moved. Like, hey, we tried it. Lottery guy. We got Carter. Okay. He's gone. Fine. Herter, if he's there.
Yeah.
And Ellis. And Carter, where are the minutes coming from? That to me is the challenge, and then you start going into this, like, let's just say, oh, well, like Carter can replace Davion's minutes. Well, Davion was playing like 15 minutes a night.
Yeah.
So that there's not a lot of minutes there. And so when you're taking a lottery pick, even if you think this guy can be impactful, your roster is just so imbalanced right now. And so that's why it's vital that if you draft Carter, he needs to be playing more minutes. How do you get him to play more minutes? Well, you got to make some drastic moves. That's why so many people are looking at a wing option, not necessarily in the draft. It could have been in the draft. They could have done it in the draft or get some size in the draft, but they also could have tried to make a trade. Not saying they didn't try, but they weren't able to execute getting a Kuzma or Cam Johnson. So now they're left in a situation where you got Fox, Ellis. I want Ellis to play, right? You have Herter. Herter helped this team not as much last year, but we know what he can be capable of after having a career low season last year. Davion, who knows what's going on with him? Monk is going to play heavy minutes.
Correct.
And then you gave Colby a 4-year deal. So that's where I'm struggling right now.
And
that's a lot. That's 7 guards we just talked about.
That struggle is valid because it's not like I doubt that their mindset is like, all right, the way to win the West, You go small. That's how you do it. No. But at the same time, then you do have to question this roster construction and you go, what aggressive moves can you make? Because that's the other thing too. You and I have talked about this a lot lately, especially seeing the night before the draft, Mikal Bridges go. A lot was given, a lot of future was mortgaged for Mikal Bridges. And I said to you, I'm like, anybody is going to cost a lot, right? But you have to be able to give up stuff as well. And I think so many Kings fans always go, can't you just trade Harrison Barnes or Davion? Like, they just throw out anyone's names, and it's like, well, it takes two to tango. You know, the other organization has to have a place for these people, has to have a want, has to make sense with their roster as well. So I think sometimes we get caught up in a lot of that when really it's like, you just have to be willing to, in my opinion, and I've never been like this before, but I think the time is right to maybe take some risks, and even if it means being risky with your future.
And maybe give up some future picks, like
That's
the 28 pick,
point.
the 2030 pick, depending on who that player is. But we're seeing how costly it is to get some of these guys. And I'm looking at the rest of the draft, and you're going, okay, well, what would you have liked to have seen them do? I like Devin Carter a lot. That's where it's so tough. I like Khalil Ware a lot, and he ends up going 15th to Miami, and of course Miami gets him, which I even get a little irritated because I'm like, oh, Miami sees something, he's probably going to be a damn good player. And there's questions about his motivation at times. When I watched him battle Zach Edey in the second matchup between Indiana and Purdue, I'm like, this guy has what you love in a modern day big. Like, not only was he dealing with Zach Edey's size at 7'4", this guy can step out and hit threes. He can protect the rim. He's a vertical threat. He's got size, a legit 7 foot. He's got the wingspan. So that would have been more of a, look, I understand that. You're like, oh, how does that work with Sabonis? Could they play together? Sure. Here's what I know. You do need size. Now you added another guard.
But also with where the development like that was going to have to take place with him as well, just like his rawness. And I think we talking to other people, even talking about how him developing with Miami and within that culture and just how perfect that will be for him at this point of his career, and not to say that it wouldn't be the same in Sacramento, but at the same time, you do look at Sacramento too, and you look at someone like Devin Carter and you go, okay, it's not a big, but it's also someone with at least length, And
Sam Vecini thinks he can guard 1 through 3. I saw someone in the chat saying, he just said in the interview he can go 1 through 4. Let's hear from Devin Carter. He was with Jake Gayden, CBS 13, who was in Brooklyn covering the draft. He got an exclusive one-on-one with him. Let's hear what that sounded like with Jake Gayden from CBS 13 and Devin Carter.
King, Devin Carter from Providence, going on the 13th overall pick. Just what was it like hearing your name here in Barclays Center?
It's a surreal feeling, just all glory to God. Blessed me throughout my whole life, and just ready to get to work, ready to bring some championships to Sacramento, and trying to win, honestly.
What have you heard about Sacramento and the Kings?
I love Coach Brown. I love what he does with the players, his relationship with the players, how competitive they are and how well-connected, well-bonded they are and stuff in the locker rooms and stuff. So just looking forward to being a part of that brotherhood. So.
I don't know, have you heard anything about De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and just the style of play that they play over in Sac?
They a lot of two-man game. Sabonis is one of the best bigs, best passing bigs in the NBA. Honestly, might be the best. De'Aaron Fox, fantastic point guard, high IQ, very explosive, great player, all-star. I mean, what more can you say? Kevin Huerter, shooter. It's honestly best organization I could want to go to. So
you were saying you worked out for this team in Sacramento previously. How do you feel like your game fits in with Sacramento?
Honestly, I think I fit in just by my versatility, my two-way ability, able to lock down the other team's best guard or whatever it may be. I'm able to switch 1 through 4. And then I think that just on the offensive end, I'm somebody who can create their own shot, get my teammates shots if they help off the gap and everything. Just somebody, like I said, somebody's coming to win. So that's the most important thing that you're getting with me coming to Sacramento, a winner.
Were you expecting this at all to go to the Kings? Were they on your list?
Yeah, they were honestly number one. So this is the team I wanted to go to. This is the team I told my girl, my dad, my aunt, everybody, the team I wanted to go to. So, I mean, God couldn't have planned this out any better.
Biggest question out of everything, though, is have you heard of the beam, and are you ready to light
the beam? I'm ready. I'm ready to light the beam.
Devin?
There's Devin Carter with Jiggy. And
He was always my number one pick as well. I just thought that was so cute. Oh,
How about the?
which thing?
I'm not trying to be jaded. We've been watching the draft for a long time.
Yeah.
What else is he gonna say? Well, they weren't really on my list, but they seem kind of jaded. He's like, I told my dad, I told my girlfriend,
I'm
like,
sold.
that he wanted to be here. And I do. There is a part. And look, I get sucked into. I'm guilty of getting sucked into stuff like this, but. He's like, oh, I love Mike Brown.
Yeah.
I love how his relationships with players. I'm like, dude, yeah, that's an easy guy to root for. Yeah, it's funny how we talk about this tonight, right? Because we read Sam Vecini's breakdown. You're like, oh my God. And then you start looking at the roster and go, huh. And then you see maybe a couple of guys that maybe you go after and you're like, well, would that have been a better fit? Look, if Devin Carter comes to Sacramento and he plays a vital role in getting this team to another level because he brings legit defensive versatility, he said in this clip, he says he can go 1 through 4. We'll have to see that. I don't know. Here's what I do know. He can guard, and he can guard a couple of positions, maybe a few. If he can bring that, that's going to be huge for the Kings. And now it's on the front office to clean it up.
There you go.
I don't need 7 guards. Give me a wing. But just somebody with some size. Bobby Jarrell mentioned Obi Toppin. It doesn't have to be crazy here, okay? But I need some more length. I need some more athleticism. We got the guards covered. We got some dogs. We got De'Aaron Fox, Keon Ellis. Malik brings that. I need some more length.
Yep.
And size.
Yep.
And toughness.
I think it's size for me because even when he has the confidence of saying, like, I can guard 1 through 4, like, there's this part of me that goes, I've been wanting length for so long, and I feel like I shouldn't underestimate his length, especially when you look at a guard that is 6'2", that is averaging 9 rebounds per game, that is elevating and shooting over people, that is so versatile, even in college defensively on so many different people because he has the length and the strength. It's always nice when you hear the Rook say the right things, and it makes me smile.
And now Monty's got work to do. And I guess that's the biggest thing is like the draft is the first part of the offseason. This is officially here. I guess if you want to rewind, the first official thing they did was reach a deal with Malik Monk to bring him back, which was important to do. And now the draft. Night 1's done. What can you get done in the next few weeks? Free agency and then trades. This is an important stretch. You see what's happening in the West. There weren't a ton of crazy deals today, but you even saw Denver move up and get DeRon Holmes, which was very interesting, right? You saw Minnesota make an aggressive move, jumping in a trade with the Spurs to get Rob Dillingham, who I absolutely love. This guy is so explosive and fun, just an absolute bucket. That's a team that was one of the best teams in the West, just got a young, explosive guard.
Yep. Point guard. I mean,
Yeah.
A guard, but like someone who can obviously handle the basketball and create and just make someone like Anthony Edwards even better. When you look around the Western Conference,
That's just on night 1 of the draft. We haven't gone to free agency yet. We still don't know Brandon Ingram's future. Right?
For sure.
Paul George, could he land with the Warriors? The point is, these teams in the West are damn good. Memphis drafts Zach Edey today, right?
And they're just
Like,
getting better.
They should be a lot better than they were last year with all the injuries, everything that they had to deal with. Houston, what do they end up doing with some tweaks? So the point is, you have to find ways. I mean, I don't know. I call me crazy, but I'm going to be shocked if the Kings tip it up opening night and they're like, well, they've got 7 guards and maybe they could clean up by the deadline.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
No, and I'm with you on that because I even think even if you are a believer in the internal growth in development or leap of Keegan Murray being someone that is just a different type of confidence next year, scoring the basketball, being aggressive. Who knows if Malik Monk's role even changes? Like, does he become a starter? Like, there's a part of me that I'm like, I don't know. Could that happen? So there's all these different things that can change, that can move, but you have to have tweaks and moves, and not just like, oh, we picked up some future assets. You got to have things different for next season. You have to do that while De'Aaron Fox and Domas Sabonis are in their prime. You got to do that right after you re-signed Malik Monk, Keegan Murray in his third year. Like, it is just so important, and especially on a night that you do draft a guard. It's not about making even just like, oh, let's just make a fan base happy. No. Winning will make the fan base happy. And you're seeing how competitive and difficult the Western Conference is, and this just doesn't feel like it's going to move the needle.
Right. I think it helps, but yeah, just as it's currently constructed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, at June 26th.
Yep.
I'm with you on that.
June 26th.
And something I said when the pick was made is like, if you're De'Aaron Fox tonight, right?
Yeah.
We read the stuff in The Athletic where it's a source close to situation. He hasn't signed the extension yet. He wants to wait to kind of see how this roster is built out. There's really a push to try to build this into a winner. So Monty, since he's been the GM since with De'Aaron Fox there, given De'Aaron an extension, drafted Tyrese, drafted Davion, Colby, and then, tonight, Devin Carter. So it's like guard.
Guards.
Which it's just, that's the thing, It's like, is that's a tough sell tonight. But, if there's a bigger picture to this, which leads to, hey, man, we were able to upgrade the 4 spot. We got more athletic. We added some legit size. We've got more versatility. And on top of that, like, we cleared up some of these guards that we have. And we've got defensive versatility where we have people who can defend. Like, I look at, if you have Devin who can guard, let's say he can't guard 1 through 4.
Okay.
Let's say he's 1 through 3.
Okay.
Well, last year, did we not see Keegan Murray defend Steph Curry?
Yeah.
And other
guards.
multiple positions. Yep. All right. De'Aaron has the ability to defend multiple positions. Keon. So you start having that type of defensive versatility. That goes a long way. I saw someone in the chat goes, oh, cool, we got a Davion replacement. Here's the difference between Davion Mitchell and Devin Carter. Davion Mitchell does not have a 6'8" and 3/4 wingspan. That's just different, right? And as tough as Davion is on ball, even on bigger guys, at the end of the day, Devin Booker is going to turn around and hit a jumper on him because there's just no length there. And so if you have that length, that can go a long way, and that physicality, and you hear about how good he can be off ball as well. So I think there's a lot to like about Devin Carter. Like, Devin, the player, is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about the prospect of him as a player. We've been watching him throughout the draft process. It's more just, all right, like, I need to see the full picture now. I just, as it stands today, I'm like, okay.
It's like when you're switching around your bedroom or your living room and you're switching around furniture, and it's like you have some missing pieces, or it's just like it doesn't work, and it's like, I need to see the full picture because like this is giving me anxiety. Like, that's where we're at. We're like, I don't like the couch over there. This rug is not gonna work. A lot of these pieces are way too small in this living room. It needs some life, some girth.
Yes.
Just like that.
Kings fans are gonna love Devin Carter. Just wait, you guys. It's for the people who are on the fence about the pick in general. I actually think less people are on the fence about the pick. It's about Devin Carter, the player, I should say. It is more about, okay, well, I want to see like what else are you gonna do, because we're now. When you watch this guy play, he's gonna bring energy and life. And I think that's so important to have. I think sometimes the Kings lack that. It was, hey, Malik, can you give us something off the bench? And we don't have the spark from anybody else. I think Devin adds another layer to that. And when you have a guy who's going to bring it on both ends, we spent so much time talking about what he does defensively, which is great. But it's the rebound, his ability to push, his I don't give a shit. I'm going to go ahead and pop this transition 3. Oh, I can go ahead and attack the basket, finish at the rim. I can go dunk the ball. there's going to be standing ovations for this guy in Sacramento. Now, front office, make the other moves.
I love it. We've said it so many times because we've been talking for 5.5 hours now, like since an hour before the draft started, and with so much anxiety going into what the Kings were actually going to do and starting to lean toward the excitement of, okay, maybe they're going to trade for an established player and this is the direction they're going to go. And then when they did end up going in this direction with Devin Carter, I am excited about this player, but I'm also absolutely with you and validate anyone else's feelings out there that are like, but there's going to be changes, right? Absolutely, there should be.
Someone in the chat was mentioning Bobby Portis.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
If the Bucks are really trying to let go of Bobby Portis on a team-friendly deal, he is a level of dog and toughness that this team needs. A guy that will square up and fight somebody too. But he's also a good basketball player. And the 4 spot, you don't have to have a star there. It's if you think Keegan, if your bet is that Keegan's going to turn into being like a legit offensive talent, and that having more defenders around him takes some pressure off of him there too, allows him to focus more offensively, and he could thrive in that role. And then the guy at the 4 doesn't have to be a high volume guy, but can that guy hit a 3-pointer?
Yeah.
Can he play tough? Can he get a rebound? That's kind of what you're looking at from that position if you're not swinging and getting some star. That I don't even know who that would be at this point. But I'd be cool with Bobby Portis.
Yeah, I'm completely with you.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.